Wasn't that an amazing live we did?
I can't even describe it. It was just kind of like one of those moments where it kind of just reminded me just why we go through certain things and why we experience those things and how we may not see them in the very beginning of how pain can lead you to a greater cause, but it helped me like really look at some things, dive into some things, and kind of really just reinforce what I definitely know I'm supposed to be doing in the
Right. Well,
seasons to
well,
come.
let
So
me tell you
definitely,
an update.
it was
Said,
amazing.
right? Okay, so the brothers came out. Weren't they out?
Yeah, they
Like
did. Yeah,
Casey
they
in
did.
Florida, Jason in Florida, Philly, we had Yusef, and then LA, the guy that just like confessed his desire to heal his wife after cheating. Just so
Right.
awesome how he went into that. And it was
Hmm.
like, here we were,
Right.
like in this open moment in our Wednesday class where most men don't want to confess cheating. He's like, I just want to heal her. And you were so awesome when
Right.
you were saying what a woman wants. And you should have seen, I don't know if you could see all the women's faces, but if they were kind of tired, it was like that. It was, everybody was like, wait, what? It was like, it was so beautiful. But let me tell you, his wife sent me a
Right.
message. It was like, what have you done to my husband? I was like, I didn't do anything.
Oh, really?
I just introduced him to Brian Thomas, to Mickey Wade,
Uh,
and to Prophet Lovey. And she's like, my husband is.
right.
And she was like, well, I'm still leaving him, but this man is a totally different person. I was like this. I was like,
Right.
I'm like this. You ain't going nowhere.
You
So
ain't.
it was
She ain't going nowhere.
right,
No.
right. Especially because he's like really. You guys impacted him, and he's loving prayer, and God is permeating his heart. And I don't think men realize that men need God if they really want to have a woman of God, and if they want to lead. Period. And if a man wants to find himself, he has to find himself in Christ. Period.
Correct.
And you did a great job of breaking that down. And so it was so phenomenal. There was so much transparency. There was so much honesty on that Wednesday
Hmm.
class. I just had to bring you back, Brian, because one, I mean,
I appreciate it.
you were like, look, let me help fix yours because I can't fix mine. And you were so honest, and it was so
Right.
beautiful. And and I love because realistically, I was reading this book. It's actually a secular book, but he uses a lot of biblical principles from
Hmm.
what's his name, the little relationship guru that everyone likes, the dark brown skin guy, Jackson. I can't think of his. You know what I'm talking
Talking about
about.
Derek. Talking about Derek
Yeah,
Jackson.
yeah, it says.
Yeah,
So,
Derek Jackson. Yeah.
so I wanted to see what his book was talking about. And then the other guy that he did the tour with, like the man of God or something he wrote. Okay, the other guy. So I read his book and I loved his book.
Hmm.
His was all biblical, but they did a tour together, so I got both books, right? And
Hmm.
he said something so key. He said, men they say, okay, the man will change for the right woman. He said, that is a lie.
Hmm.
He said, I had the right
Yes.
woman and I didn't never give myself the proper tools and educate
Right.
and renew my mind and deal with myself, the enemy, to be
Hmm.
able to love and nurture her. So I ruined it. He said, it's like giving
Right.
a kid, a 14-year-old, a Ferrari. They're going to ruin
Hmm.
it.
Right.
So he said, was saying how a man has to equip himself, and I believe a woman has to equip herself. So that's why we're here today for all of you guys who are watching
Hmm.
with Brian Thomas. We just wanted to throw out this amazing lifeline and help people. I believe in getting information from two people who have blown it really, really bad, and from people who have succeeded really, really well. And I
Exactly.
like listening to people who've had the comeback because you
Yeah.
learn something that great. And Brian, I want you just to talk about what a woman needs from a
Hmm.
man. Again, you went down these steps that were so awesome.
Hmm.
And please just tell all of our listeners, break it down like you did the other night. Don't hold back and don't leave anything behind.
All right, perfect. So, what a woman needs from a man, first and foremost, she has to have a man of God who is a leader and not just someone that is coming in the house and taking care of the responsibilities and the bills, because any man can come in and do that. But a man that is intentional about it, meaning that he's coming in with a purpose to not only provide, but he's leading you as God leads him. Because a woman should not submit to a man that does not have a vision and does not have a plan that involves her. So when a man is coming into the life of a woman, he must understand that I have to first and foremost be a leader. Because if I'm not a leader and she's depending on me just providing, that means that at some particular point in time, my providing may come to an end. But even if my providing reaches a limited level, when I am a leader, that allows her to be able to see the vision. And because there is a vision, then she will want to participate in helping the vision stay its course.
Miles Monroe says that's a necessity. Miles Monroe talks about that. He says that Adam was in the garden. He had work. He had purpose, and he needed her to help run this purpose. So if a man hasn't really discovered, or not working towards that purpose, then he's not really kind of ready to actually work with you. Because you hear men say things like, oh, I just need I just need a good woman of God and I can do it. I just need a good woman of God, she can help me. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, here's the thing that many men have to, you have to take into account when you're counting up the cost. A woman, first and foremost, is an investment that is long-term, which means that it takes a man, in order to understand her emotions, understand her feelings, understand her thoughts, it takes a lifetime of an investment. It's not something that he can just decide and say, okay, I choose you because you're the prettiest thing in the room, and I've counted up the cost right then and there because you're beautiful. No. When he, in his mind, takes into account what this requires, it requires God allowing him to evolve in each season of his life so that he can understand the investment. Because when he cultivates that woman the right way, the way that she's been created by God, automatically, if she is a woman that is a believer, automatically she's going to pour back into him. She is a woman that is one that is wanting to invest in. She doesn't just want to have a man that comes to her life and she's having to chase him around to get a vision out of him. Right. She wants to have something to pour into. Because here's the thing about men that we have to understand. Though we are the visionary, there is the substance that was in a woman that adds that versatility that makes us effective, not only to our sons, but to our daughters, but to other women that are looking for the example. They need that substance. And that substance comes from another good woman that pours into a good man that's in a position to do the things that he's called to do. So when a man comes in to her life, he's got to count the cost. Yeah. The cost is not, I'm going to be with her physically. The cost is not, I'm going to take advantage of what she's given. The cost is not, well, she's the prettiest thing in the room, so she's going to highlight my life. No, the cost is, are you ready to put your vision in motion? And with putting your vision in motion, are you ready to bring her in and give her the opportunity to come in and actually invest in something? Not just invest in, I'm speaking words out of my mouth because I heard something good. No, you've actually taken time away from her and you actually understood who you are. Because when you understand who you are, you're not just selecting someone based off of looks. You're not just basing someone based off of position. You are selecting someone who is designed to help you carry what God's given you. Because men are visual, we don't understand design. All we understand is what looks good to us. But as we get closer to God and we begin to understand what that design is, we know no longer looking for just this type of woman. We're looking for the right woman, and the right woman is going to come into the equation and fit perfectly with that vision that God has given us. But we first must begin to establish that, because if we begin to establish that, then what ends up happening is that the woman that is investing in that is going to be rewarded with a path that looks just like the way that it was originally to be.
And with that, Brian, I would say that, what the man of God said in one of the books I was reading is that she is his priority because he understands that purpose, we're not here. See, I believe that, people that think, well, this doesn't work out, I'll get another one. No. You are my purpose partner. We are predestined, preordained to do something for God together. And when you know that you're predestined and preordained by God, you do not treat that thing lightly. You do not put a Rolex with a Timex. You don't mix, you take care of it, you nurture it, you understand that we have something to do together and you treat it differently. But a lot of people are looking for a boyfriend, a right now person, a girlfriend, something that's going to rock our world right then, instead of thinking, this is for the rest of my life. We have something to do for God. And when you honor God, you can honor one another. When you love God and you can submit to God, if you can wait for God, then you can wait for each other. If you can be faithful to the Lord, then you can be faithful with one another. If you know what it is to please God, you're going to learn how to please each other. How to communicate with God, how to commune, how to talk, how to laugh, how moods that the Lord has, and to sense the sincerity, and when it's time to be serious, and how to be committed and dedicated and have integrity and concern about one another. Just like the young man that you ministered to the other day. He is saying things to his wife he never said before. He's saying things like, you know what? You are my priority. And I want to make sure you're okay. She's shocked because now that he has Christ in his heart, he's learning how to love. And if a lot of people say they love God, but if you don't love God, if you can't love God, if you don't have humility, you can't love God if you don't have care for one another. You don't love God if they can't put you first. If they can't see from your perspective, they got to hit below the belt, or they have to say things that tear you down, or they can't build you up, or they're not concerned for you, or they don't check on you. And I try to tell somebody, look, if he can go all day without talking to you, he don't really like you. He's just not that into you. Okay.
Listen, when we look at the marriage vows, forsaking all others, meaning that when you say you're forsaking all others, you're putting away distractions, you're putting away things that would distract you from giving that person your best. Now, I'm going to go twofold on this one. A lot of times what happens in relationships is, and we see this in our culture, we see that individuals will give the best version of themselves to someone that is empty. And then when the best version of ourselves has been exhausted and we're empty, we're expecting that person that we gave the best version of ourselves to pour back in us. But if you pour into something broken and you fix it, what's going to end up happening is that because that person has never known what it's like to be fixed, they're going to actually go and try to find something equivalent.
Wow.
And leave you behind. That's why it's very important that in your singleness, that even the best of what you have, you don't give it to somebody and don't find a way to pour back into you. Because what happens a lot of times, I've been guilty of it. I've taken the best version of myself in different seasons of my life, and I gave it to somebody with the expectation that they were going to give me something back in return. But the fact of the matter is that even when you are giving your best and you're emptying out your best,
yes,
that's God's way of coming in and saying, okay, you're emptying out your best. Now, what he does is that he sends trials, tribulations, situations, and circumstances to break the best that's trapped in you to come out so that you won't get stuck in memories. You won't get stuck in moments. But what you will begin to do is that you will begin to find opportunity. When you look at anybody that is proficient in something, what ends up happening is that when they become proficient or professional, what's happened is that it wasn't something that happened overnight. It was opportunities happened even out of their best days, they had opportunities that happened where they didn't do so well. And what did they do? They evolved and they learned from it so that they could become better and evolve and eventually become proficient in that. And what has to happen in relationships, before you even think about being married, getting into marriage, the question that you have to ask yourself is, did I get into a relationship with this particular individual, give them my best, and stop?
I heard something very important the other day that I thought. I was at church and I said, oh my goodness. When you talk to someone and you say, well, what do you want in a man or a woman? And the first thing they say is, well, what I don't want, they're already in a negative. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people will tell you all the things that they don't want, but they can't tell you all the things that they do want. They go straight to negative, which tells you there's still something in here. If they can just tell you what they don't want, but don't really know what the good, healthy need is. And then he said something like, don't ask God, Father, reveal everything, burn this whole thing and reveal anything to me that's wrong with this. Because then you're looking for something wrong. He said, Lord, if you join these two together, just continue to guide us and show us, Lord, everything that you would have us to do. And that puts a positive on it, because a lot of times we're asking the wrong thing. We're immediately going to a negative. God, you're looking for a problem then. And just show me because you're so used to people being wrong. You're so used to everything being unhealthy. You're so used to things being difficult. You're used to what you used to have, and you don't even know that you're kind of bringing that into something else that could be good, because you're automatically programming yourself to look for something negative. So instead of saying, God, if this ain't you, just blow the whole thing up and do this and tear it up and get rid of it. I mean, I've been guilty. We've all been guilty. He said, no, Lord, show me what you have for me with this situation. Lord, reveal the best to me, what you would have me to do, and give me wisdom right here with this person. And then God will give you and show you the good and the bad. Not because you had to ask for it, but he'll show you if there's good in this person's heart. Reveal the heart of this person. But we're not introducing it with a negative pull, because then I'm looking for something to find.
It's crazy that you said that, because oftentimes we go to God asking him for opportunities to show us who the person is. But I've begun even now, even in this season, because I'm in a season of learning how to forgive all over again. And one of the things that I'm asking even now is, Lord, send me teaching moments. Yes. Because here's the thing. As good as a man that I think that I believe that I am, there is something in me that if you don't teach me, if I continue in this good, it's not going to be good enough for the next season. Yes. So teach me what you need to teach me in this season, so that when the next season comes, I don't have a repeat lesson of what happened before, but I can take those lessons and perfect them even greater in the next season.
So even when you're in marriage, I had this group one time, and for being what you just said, I literally said, okay, how long you been married? They said 10 years. I said, do you know him better now than you did when you first married him first year? She said, oh yeah. Then they said, how long you guys been married? They said 24 years. I said, so do you know him better than you knew him at 10 years? She said, oh yeah. I said, how long you guys been married? They said 32 years. I was like, whoa. And I said, do you know him better than you did at 22 years? She said, yes. And I said, how long you guys been married? They said 48 years. I was like, I was like, do you know him better than you did at 32 years? She said, yes. We're always growing. We're always adapting. We're always maturing. We keep putting new information in our mind, in this computer called life, in this computer called your mind. We're renewing our mind to grow from one step, from glory to glory, from faith to faith. We never have it all. And unless we learn from someone else, and there's some men and women that say, I don't need nobody to teach me. Nobody can tell me about my relationship. If you are not teachable, if you have a stubborn person, forget it. If you have a person who you say, hey, look right, and they want to look left. If you have a person that's difficult with the basic things, when you have a need that won't come get you, won't come help you, won't go through surgery with you, will not, these things you have to pay attention to and stop going past the red flags that say this is a selfish situation and cannot give, can only take. It's a narcissistic thing. And you have to say, what is ready to give? because God so loved that he gave. We are both
Yeah.
ready to give to each other so we can give to God greater. We're both ready to give up ourselves. And if people say these one words, Brian, am I right? You're trying to change me. You're trying to change me. You can't get a dog or a goldfish without change, let alone have a baby without change, without being married, and that change emotionally, spiritually, financially, every aspect. You should say it's not the I and the you, it's the we and the us. We are merging with the Lord, and a three-stranded cord is not easily broken. And I'm here to transform and change for what God wants us to be.
That's definitely key. See, what a lot of individuals, and I've seen this happen, and I've seen this up and down, where people have this idea of what marriage is. They have this idea that we're coming together. We got all the, the benefits of it. I get to be with this person. I get to lay up. I get to cuddle. We get to have sex. Don't act like nobody don't know what sex is. We hear about all those wonderful things, and those are things that come along with the territory. But a few years ago, after I had got married and after everything that happened, I got a lesson on what intimacy really was.
Oh, come on, teach it.
It blew me away.
Teach it.
Intimacy is not in the touch. It's not in the touch.
Come on.
Intimacy is not in the touch. And this blew me away. Intimacy is the willingness to empty out your agenda and take on and listen to the heartbeat of another individual other than yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So, I got an example of that. If somebody wants an example, let me break this down. So Minister Brian talked on my class on Wednesday night, broke it down. Young man got on and said how he had cheated on his wife and he wanted to fix it. It was so awesome. And he's like, I just want to heal her. He says, the first time I'm ever feeling in my life. And it was so great. He ministered to him. And so I had called the other day and he said, my wife was saying, you said you were going to cook for me. You're not really trying. You didn't cook for me. Now, I said, did you hear anything else? He goes, I got discouraged because she was complaining about it. I said, are you hearing what her heart is saying? Remember, you just got to tell in the class that she was done with you, that it's over, that it's a wrap, and she is out of here, fired, papers, done. And you didn't hear her heart was saying, I'm looking for you to see if you really want me. You didn't hear when somebody's saying, I don't think you love me. And then they say, how do you know if I don't love you? See, they missed the whole, they didn't hear. They were saying, all you have to say is, she needed affirmation. I do love you, and you mean everything to me. You missed the heartbeat of what is being said. The heartbeat is saying, I'm looking for you to really, I don't want to get a divorce, but I'm looking to see, do you really care? Because right now I'm wounded and I think I got to get away from you, but I'm hoping that you have enough in there to help work this thing out. You got to hear from your heart. You got to hear when it's the little boy who was molested at 6 years old. You got to hear when it's the little girl who was raped at 12 years old. You got to hear when it was the abused little boy that's talking to you from the heartbeat and give a reaction, not fighting yourself, because if you're fighting the person, you're fighting yourself. But we want to hear you. I learned from Mickey Wade to say things like, when two people are going back and forth and they're talking and talking and talking and talking, not really listen. He says, stop and say, you know what? Stop it. I want to hear you. And you got to touch them. I want to hear you. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Somebody got to get mature and say, I'm sorry. Forgive me. What? Talk to me. I want to hear what you have to say, because it's important to me what you have to say. That changes the whole dynamic in the room. Everybody calms down. And then when they're done talking, Mickey Wade said to say, so what I'm hearing you say is, you really need me to do this, X, Y, and Z. And you need me to be more attentive. And she says, yeah, that's what I was trying to say. He says, okay, I can do that. And now it opens up a dialogue where now we're healing instead of pointing the finger and hurting one another. Hearing
what a lot of men do, especially, and I've learned this just from what a lot of men do is when a woman is intently coming in and saying it, she's frustrated, like she's upset, looking for trying to diffuse the situation. In that particular sequence, You're looking for the cues to let you know this is how I'm really feeling. But without intimacy, without true intimacy, the words that are coming out of her mouth are like swords. They're like swords coming out, because when you become intimate, and I mean not intimate physically, because that's a whole, we gonna dive into the physical part, because I'll probably blow the line. So we gonna dive into that. We'll dive into mental. Intimacy is going in, putting your agenda to the side, what you think, and intently listening to the words that are coming from your heart. Because behind each woman's emotions is a set of words that she's trying to convey to you. And as you get to know her, those words will begin to come out peacefully. But when she feels like she's not being heard, then her emotions speak the volume. And so as a man, you begin to learn that as you get to know her, and as you begin to pay attention to those things, you start to notice that as you get to know her, and she begins to understand that you really are listening, the volume of words that she's speaking to you begins to dissipate, and you begin to intently hear the rhythm of her heart, and the rhythm of her heart begins to show you this is how you truly love.
Now you were saying, I love this. This is good. Our church loving this. Please share, you guys. Actually, you guys can invite 7 people. We want to save some marriages, and those who've been divorced, God wants you happy, and you got to learn from your past, and you have to forgive to even move on to something. Because a lot of people don't understand. They're still angry at their ex, you know? And you can hear the anger, and you can feel the anger. I mean, I know I met one guy, and he had no idea. He was telling me why it was okay to be held uphold unforgiveness. He was telling me, his doctrine was so twisted. He was telling me, and that, like, the child that hadn't spoken to him, he's giving that child a timeline. And that child doesn't come and speak to him. He's never speaking to the child again. And I was thinking, oh my goodness. He said, God, his mother praying for his other child. And he was just hard. And he was just bitter. And see, hardness brings bitterness. It brings torment. And you carry it to the next person. And you never have a real connection with your, not a God, but Jesus Christ. You can never have the full capacity to give or receive. So, can you tell me, Mr. Brian, those things that you said a woman needs from her man? You told the guy the other night what he needs. He needs a woman needs from him. You know, what she needs from him. When we talk about what a man needs from a woman. So, go ahead and
Okay.
start.
Man, I gotta go back again.
Oh, it was so good. You would have thought you had it written down, and it was all, I mean, it was good. It was the one.
I'm gonna try to go back and remember, but the first thing that a woman needs from a man is she needs a leader. A leader is one that understands his purpose, one that understands who he is and is not afraid to be heard. Number 2, he needs to be able to listen. A man that listens begins to understand her needs. Number 3, he has to understand her love language. Now, we've heard the 5 love languages. So, understanding how she needs to be loved, and understanding it from the standpoint of how she needs to be loved, and mastering that aspect. I'm going to say this right here. It takes a man to really truly love, to learn how to master a loving woman. It takes about a good 5 to 7 years to even get to the elements of learning that, which means that he has to take that 5 to 7 years and learn it in that time frame. Some of them get married, she doesn't have children, and she decides to have children. That's a whole dynamic, because now she's having to, in a sense, evolve as a mother, or let's just say to that relationship. She was dealing with pain, situations, and circumstances as she's trying to teach you my relationship aspects later down the line. But a man needs to be strategically romantic to the woman that he loves. Strategic. And now, what I mean by strategically romantic is it's good stuff. Like flowers and all that stuff. Like we know about the jokes. But what excites a woman is when a man does it when she is least expecting of it. You got to pick your spots of when you show her. Maybe just show her because you show her when she's upset because you know you did something you wasn't supposed to. She knows you know. You got to pick a time when she least expecting. Sometimes I was in a relationship. Sometimes in the middle of you watching your favorite TV show, she's sitting there with you. Stop the TV show and say, listen, baby, I love you. I thank God for you. I want to be next to you for the next 700. I used to tell my wife, I said, I want to be next to you for the next 700 years. Let me have this moment to cherish you, to hold you, and to show you this moment for that we are. Sometimes you got to stop the normal process and you got to strategically show out of the blue because in a woman's mind, she is constantly fighting not only how am I learning how to love you, but she's constantly fighting the idea of am I this good man? Am I good enough? Am I beautiful? Does he like what he sees? Have I gained enough weight? Is he looking at me and beginning to feel like I'm not taking care of this? And a man takes out sometimes strategically to assure her. So giving her an assurance that the choice that he made concerning her is an element and he will continue to choose her every single day of his life. When times get tough, when money is tight, when things are not going the way that we would want them to go, I'm holding your hand. I'm holding your hand. I value your strength. I value your emotion. I value you are the person that I want next to me as I continue to go. When I get sick, I want you around. When I have my victory, I want you around. When my failures are there, I want you around my back. I'm sure that when I give up, I will be. She has to, because here's the thing. Here's the thing about men. Men are visual. The visual aspect is related to the thought. Because men are visual, we have cameras. Our mind, you know what I'm talking about, the camera. We talked about the other part about vision. A man's mind is a camera. A woman wants to know that that camera is capturing every angle of who she is. She wants to know that that camera is capturing every element about her. And in his mind, and in her mind, she wants to know that that element of who you see is evolving to choosing her every single day. What many men miss is that because we're visual, it can be very easy to lose focus on what's in front of us and pay attention to things that are not. I'll give you an example. As a man, if I'm in a relationship, walking in the mall, now I've had that conversation many times. A good man walking in the mall sees an attractive woman. Now, here's the part that woman already knows. There's going to be an attractive woman that's walking in front of his eyes. And in her mind, if she's been dealing with self-esteem issues or she's been dealing with a situation where she feels rejected, in her mind, she already has an expectation. That's right there. And I forgot me. But in those moments, that man grabs her hand and says, right. You're the person that I'm choosing. You're the person that I want to eyes on the to the rest of my life. You're the person that I want to be around. When your hair is messed up, when you got your little head when you got your bathrobe on, when you come home from work and you had a bad day, and I want to see you because it's not the outer appearance. See, when a real man truly chooses that woman, guess what ends up happening? Her spirit has become more beautiful. Sees the spirit of a woman, and sees the spirit of a woman evolves to the most beautiful element of her life. So even though this is a beautiful woman on the external comes there, though she may be beautiful, her spirit looks nothing like what I do. Things that women, and I see this on my timeline, if you were to go down my timeline and ask every woman what's the pet peeve that they have of men, this is the number one. This is probably in the top 5. I'm about to say consistency. Consistency. How many, if you go down your timeline right now, on there, and you ask them, they came in contact, a young man came into their life, and everything started out good, and then all of a sudden, a couple months down the line, he's not doing what he's doing to get her attention. So now, when you start being consistent, you start start bringing all these questions out. You start thinking, this is what happened in my past. I wonder if this is going to happen again and again. A woman craves consistency. If a woman does not get consistency from a man, what she will do is that she will depend on her emotions to carry her. And when she depends on her emotions to carry her from a lack of consistency, she ends up going down a road where she doesn't know who truly cares for her because her emotions are having to be good at the moment.
Yes.
But in actuality, she's empty because she has not received the consistency that garners her able to trust that that man was with her.
I love that you brought that up on Instagram because realistically, consistency will come with a consistent relationship with God too. When you learn how to have quiet time with God, when you learn how to confess to God, when you learn how to be intimate with God, when you learn to show up when you feel like it, when you don't feel like it, when you learn to come before Him, and that becomes a priority, that is really when everything else in your life starts to line up. And the truth is, I honestly, earnestly believe that when you have a real relationship with God, I'm not talking about this woo-woo, I just go to church on Sunday, I'm reading my Bible one day, I know bedtime and prayer. I'm not talking about that, touching those stuff. I'm talking about intimacy with God. I think that I've learned what real relationship looks like because I know how God treats me and I know how I've been relating to Him. And when you feel God in your heart, you bring Him consistency. He wants to talk with you morning and night and be close and He's there for everything. And you learn how to really love somebody by learning how to love God. You know, if I can abstain from sex for God, I can surely abstain from some other man that wants to have sex with me. You know, but if I'm over here and I got you cheating on God to be with me, we should automatically be looking at each other going funny. We're talking about when we slip once or twice a time. I'm saying it can happen to anybody. Look, first of all, I want to say this really clear. Do not marry anybody that you are not sexually attracted to. Let's just start there. Like, you don't have the urge that you don't feel like you want to, or you guys like, you gotta go home. I gotta see you later.
I need you to repeat. I need you to repeat that, and everybody that's watching, I need you to pick up the nearest Bible and Lord, just pick up something for us, because we've been taught that you just need to get somebody to just try it. Oh, he's speaking tongues. Oh, she's speaking tongues.
No.
They dry as lettuce.
Look, there is a reason. There is a reason that God brings us together in the flesh. So you know what? I gotta think that you're fine at the end of the night. You don't marry somebody, and I don't care about these church people talking about the prophecy said you're supposed to marry this 5'1" man that don't look like anything that you like and doesn't have anything that you desire. And I have nothing against if you like a 5' man. I'm just saying, if you don't like it, if he's 7 feet, be like, I don't really like that man that tall, and I don't want that. But I guess the prophet told me, look, if it doesn't feel right in your spirit, do not do it. You have to like what you see. Number one, do not go for that. Oh, well, he has a good heart, and go talk yourself into something. No. God wanted you physically attracted to the person. Let's start there. Physically, yes, you will be physically attracted to the person God has for you. So let's just start there.
You gotta. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's use this analogy. Let's say that you own a Ferrari. If you own a Ferrari, what happens if you put gas in that Ferrari?
It's not going to run.
Same thing goes when it comes down to that. You got to have some gas in there. Like, listen, anybody that knows me, I'm controversial and I'm transparent. Listen, I done already told the Lord, I said, listen, Lord, there is a certain height that gets me going, and if she shows up, I'm going to go ahead and put this over here for the time that it shall be used, or as they call in the Old Testament, the smiting. I'll put the smiting to the side until we say I do, and then once I do is done, Let the slight begin, as they say in the Old Testament.
Yes, and you have to have these conversations in the dating, and we'll talk about marriage to you guys because I'm about to jump to the married people too, because there's people, I saw this post today by, was it JP or somebody, it was so funny, he said, if you married and you're not in there getting it in, having sex, he said, I'm gonna throw something at you because we're over here waiting. We're over here holding it down, not masturbating, not over here watching porn, none of that, focusing, getting ourselves together for the Lord and for what we have. And don't you know, you guys can have it and you're not choosing to? I'm gonna get to you people in a minute, because truthfully be told, you have to, if you're dating someone, and I don't know where this myth came from, that you feel like you want to have sex, you're in sin. First of all, you're supposed to feel like you want to have sex if that's your partner. You're supposed to be attracted to your partner. You're supposed to want to. That's why I said, hey, just guard yourself. So Kenneth Hagin Sr. wrote this book called Marriage, Divorce, and Remarriage. And it was so good. He talked about, he said now, he had a talk with his wife. When they decided they were getting married, they said, how many kids we're going to have? They had a talk, a straight talk. They said, okay, we're going to have a boy, then a girl. She said, that's it? She said, do we have to decide tonight? He said, yeah. What are we going to name him? She goes, do we have to decide tonight? He was like, yes, we're going to decide tonight. He said, now I'm going to want a lot of sex. And we have to talk about this. And remember what you're signing up for. You know, not just sex, but, you know, she's going to say, I need some affection from you. I mean, and if you want a lot of sex, you know, you're going to have to love me. You can't just want the sex and not love me. You know, they have these conversations because
like my dad said, you got to learn how to warm up the woman's oven before you get in and get to bacon. That's how my dad told me. You got to warm up the oven. You got to stimulate her mind that makes her want to get up and do jumping jacks when she sees you.
Praise the Lord.
Can't get
Kiki
in and
just over here laughing at us, but it's the truth. And if people don't talk about this in the church, you're going to have divorce. You're going to have problems. If you guys are acting like we just going to pray all night. Look, hold on, stop it. Look, we are in the physical.
I'm not going to pray. I'm going to pray.
This is time.
I'm not going to pray.
And God's not coming in your bedroom. Stop it. Like, there's a time to pray. There's a time to join together. I believe couples, if you're just coming together and if you are married, you should have devotion time together and you should have time with God apart. There should be time. I heard a man the other day, he's a very wealthy young man. He said, I had to learn through trial and error and dealing with myself. If I connect with God first, and then I connect with my wife and find out her needs and make her feel like she's Wonder Woman, I can go on as Superman for the rest of the day because I made sure God is good. My wife and I connected. He said, if I don't connect with my wife, my whole day is off. And if people learn that, how important that is, instead of getting dressed and, all right, I'll see you later, I'm out the door. You know, no. We have to connect. Even if it's 5 minutes of this is just us connecting. If we got to get up 10 minutes early so we can connect, if we can look at each other, we can, you know, come together as a unity and let's go get this today. You do your part, I'm doing my part. I'm gonna see you later on. I can't wait to see you. You know, and then text messages are like an added bonus. It's not, you can't have a text message relationship. I'm not even understanding that these days. You know, that's just added bonus. You know, we have to want to desire to see each other. We have to desire to plan a date night where we're not talking about the kids. We are talking about doing something and dress up, keep yourself together, get in health, enjoy one another, come back to find out what are your likes and dislikes. All of these things are important. Very.
Yeah.
And if you're with somebody that hits below the belt in a disagreement, we have to learn to disagree. Remember purpose. Remember God. Remember God's character. Remember we're choosing to be Christ-like. You're bringing two people that are different together. So the more understanding and loving we are, the more seeds we have we can sow. But if they're talking about your past and hitting below the belt and you get angry, you guys are cussing each other out, you need to go back to the altar.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see those things before you get married, you better hold off on getting married, because it's going to tell you they cannot. Remember, a married man desires to please his wife, and a married woman desires to please her husband. Otherwise, please don't get married.
Can I mess up somebody's theology?
Go ahead.
I ain't gonna say theology. Can I mess up somebody's thought process?
Go ahead.
When it comes down to even that aspect of sex. Okay, so I learned this years ago, and a wise man told me this. He said, a man's job, when it comes down to his wife from a physical aspect, he said his job is to learn the areas that gets her going. And what he told me was that most times it's not the physical things that you do in the bedroom that get that woman going. I was like, for real? He was like, yes.
True.
He said, "Nah, I'm getting ready to give the men a secret. You can cash at me, pay me later. We can do an IOU. Don't matter." He said, "This is when he told me this. I was like, whoa! Like I gotta save this for when I get married." He said that the woman's mind is craving that intimacy, the beginning of the intimacy. It's not when you come home from work and, no. He said, you got to start early in the morning when she wakes up.
Oh.
You got to start early in the morning when she wakes up, because when you start early in the morning when she wakes up, it's putting a forward thought in her mind that when I get home, man, it's going to pour into me. See, when you pour into a woman from the beginning of the day and you start pouring little by little,
by the time you get home, she has your favorite food already ready.
Listen,
she's got the bath water ready to go.
Food.
She's got the lingerie.
She got the lingerie. She got your favorite food with the lingerie and the high heels. She's not even gonna say nothing. She's just gonna cut the light out and be like, "You already know what time it is." I'm telling you.
But it's so awesome because you're desiring to please each other, and it's awesome. I love it when you see couples that are giddy and playful, and they yield to one another, and they work through things together, and they know when to pray together, and when to honor each other, and when to laugh, and they have balance. I've seen so many things where one person takes and doesn't give, and it has to be, reciprocity. If you sow a seed, water this seed. Like you said, that Ferrari's not going to work if you only put 1 tank of gas in it. You have to do maintenance. So I took my car to the dealership the other day, and I was blown away because times are changing. Do you know, Minister Brian, that they wanted me to pay $400 to update my app on my car? My car had an app, and it needed to be updated. I was like,
seriously?
My car has an app. Yeah. He said the brand new ones, when you pull into your garage, they connect with your Wi-Fi and they just update. I was sitting there like, come again? So you want me to give you $400 to update my app in my car, and it should fix some problems that are going on? I was blown away. So all you don't know, that's where it's going, okay? Everything is going there. So I was shocked because I was like, whew.
Wow.
I was sitting there like, So what I bring that to say is the maintenance, it costs what it costs. I used to like Hondas when I was 19. Then I graduated at 25 and I liked Lexuses. And then I graduated by 30 and I liked Range Rovers. And Aston Martin, Ferraris, whatever, it costs what it costs. You get what you pay for. So if you desire nice things, maintain what you have. You cannot put 1 tank of gas and expect it to work. And I don't care if you get any of the best cars in the world, you have to change those brakes. You have to rotate those tires. It comes with a maintenance schedule in it that says at 5,000 miles, switch the tires over so they can be better to work with. At 5,000 miles, change your oil, and do not put the cheap oil in it. Put synthetic oil, pure synthetic oil in it. It tells you what to do to make sure this car will operate at its maximum and operate at his ultimate. And if you want your relationship to operate at its ultimate, you better learn words of affirmation. I really appreciate you. I really love how you take care of me. You know what? Learn how to bless him with a gift. Send some cards to the office. Matter of fact, send the office for all of his people. Send everything like he did it. And make him look good, because he's respected at the gates because of you. Learn that you need to physical touch. I just wanted to give you a massage. I know you've been working so hard, and I appreciate you. I got your favorite movie. Matter of fact, I got you some tickets to whatever your favorite, whatever it is, and we're gonna go. You know, no kids tonight, no nothing. We're just you're nurturing and maintaining what you have. And then learning the next how you can make sure that you're communicating. Communication is so important. Is there anything that I can work on? You know, how am I doing? I want to make sure that I'm improving. You know, stop acting like we got this whole thing together when they tell you you're upset and you're surprised about it and you got in your feelings, but don't ask if you don't want to grow. Growth. This is all about us growing. The worst of you is going to come out. Go ahead.
You just said something that I said, and I had totally forgot about it, but it's a very, very key part of my life right now. A thing that women need from a man is accountability. Accountability is huge, because here's the thing. When it comes down to a man coming into her life, he's presented himself as this man that's coming in, and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. A good man is going to have that woman hold him accountable for the words that come out of his mouth. You did. Please hold me accountable for what I said.
Like we hold God accountable? Like we hold God accountable. Like God, he said, put me in remembrance of my word.
Put me back on what I said. If I came into your life as a man and said, sweetheart, I have the vision to do this, and I want to be, I want you to be a part of my life, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. Please hold me accountable, because here's the thing. If you don't hold me accountable, then the mediocrity that I place before you will become the best that I'm giving to you. But when you hold me accountable, that means that I'm not allowed to get comfortable in just doing this at this particular point. But when you hold me accountable, I have a responsibility that when I'm not around you, okay, God, you know what? This is an area that I need to fix, and you got to help me. But if you're not holding me accountable, then what responsibility am I holding on to do what I said that I was going to do as a man?
Because your children will hold you accountable.
As a man.
The children will. Like children, my son will say to me, Mom, you said at 5:00 today that we were, and he means you better do what you say. Like they will nag you. Kids will nag you. They won't forget. If you tell them we're going to go on the 30th, you can't tell Lazarus nothing. He will have the calendar and rip off the days until it's the day it's going to come. You cannot tell him nothing. You have to do what you say. And it's great because we have to be held accountable to our word, because that helps. And that's what God says, put me in remembrance of my word. Now, flip side of that, watch this. Did you see the talk with the thing with Kim Kardashian and her husband, where her husband's in his transformation, and he said we know they were in that discussion, and he said, it doesn't make it. He said it affects my spirit. And any saved man knew where he was going, because he's probably further along than where she is, I'm sure. And he said, it affects my spirit when I see you in all those sexy clothes. He said, you're my wife. And she said, she made a key point. And I want to show you guys why he walked out. She said, she said, you built me up to be this sexy person. You picked out all my clothes and made me comfortable with being how I am now. And now you throw this on me. And at that moment, he knew what she said was true. He said, okay. And he got up and walked out the room. Where do you think he went, everybody? He went to his prayer closet, because he had to shut up. You know why he shut up? Not because he was mad. because what she said was true. He did help her. He used to pick all her clothes out. He made her into a sex symbol because he was not where he right at the moment. But now that he's had a heart change, he's hoping for a woman of God to hear his heart and care about what his heart is saying and say, baby, I know I picked 5 months picking this out, but because of you, I'm gonna change my outfit. But you know what? He understood that he played a role, and now he's planting new seeds. But so we'll see what she's wearing next year. We're going to see what she wears next year at the gala. Because this year, he hasn't been in it long enough to plant enough good, consistent seeds of righteousness. So he's still pulling up old, bad seeds. Have you guys ever sown a bunch of bad seeds? The guy that you ministered to the other day, he sowed so many bad seeds. Right now, he's taking hits from her left and right. He went and watched War Room, and he said, it's not even bothering me because I'm being consistent. It don't bother me. When she said, you don't do this and you don't do that, he said, I got it right now, baby. I'm taking care of it. He said, it seemed like I'm getting punked. He said, but it's doing something in me. He said, I'm praying and God is building me up. There's nothing she can say that's going to move me because I understand what I did and I'm consistent and I'm dedicated. So when a man gets that in his heart, or a woman who screwed up and they want to fix it, consistency and dedication, you got to take those hits because he understood. I built that. I made that. And if you understand that anybody who knows that woman's angry, that man's angry because you cheated and they're wounded, then you know then it's going to take a lot of warmth to break that ice cold. And consistency long enough will make any ice break down and melt.
Listen, and I'm going to be transparent with you. One of the things that when I was married and the time, and that really got me to the point where things fell apart. And I had to go back and really look at how things started and how, as a man, I got, and this is something that many men have done, and they make the mistake. Don't get so lost in the provision of what you're supposed to do as a man that you forget about the vision that takes you to the place that you have designated that you're going to go with her. Because I was a man that, prided myself providing. I saw my dad as a provider. I saw my dad, take care of, responsibilities with my mom. I saw my dad do those things. So as a man, naturally, it was easy for me to get up out of the bed and go to work as a man to provide for the now wife that I had.
Amen.
But the thing that my wife was craving from me, she wasn't craving the provision. She already knew the provision was there. She was craving the vision, which I did not have.
Oh.
So when a man does not have a vision, you know what ends up happening?
What?
Instead of it being a straight path, it continues to be a circle.
Oh.
And what happens with a circle? Eventually she gets tired.
Yes.
And she gets disoriented and she wants something better. Without a vision, a man goes in a circle, and eventually a woman gets tired of going in the circle, because when she goes in a circle, she's not being led as he follows Christ. She's being led by the circle of issues that are continuously going over and over again, the cycles that continue. When a man does not have a vision, he operates in cycles. When a man operates in cycles, he causes a reaction in that woman. Either adapt and adjust to what's being given, or to totally cut things.
Wow. Wow. Well,
when a man does not have a vision, it leads to, and I'm getting ready to dive into some deeper things.
Right.
When there is no vision in that relationship, then you are depending. I'm getting ready to say this now. This gonna mess some people up. I'm telling you, this is gonna mess some people up. When there is no vision, the Bible says where there is no vision, the people perish. So where there is no vision, you react or you respond in the cycles, in the pains, in the things that you have closely associated with your life. When there is no vision, there is no direction or any leading of the way out of the things that you're used to. So what ends up happening is that because it's a cycle, you end up reverting back to what's comfortable. When there is a vision, now you have a responsibility to go forward in the things that break the things that are most comfortable and put you in a path of things that are most important.
I think that's really important, because when we get behind a vision, like I was able to go with this couple to the Bahamas, and I'm gonna tell you, not only that, they had their wedding right after. My church cultivates this because it comes from the head down. He was like, as young men in other countries, they're taught to be providers and taught to protect and to take care of and to nurture the families. So they honor the women differently in some other countries than in this country. The young men really aren't taught that from young boys. It's really missing, especially with African American men, and because of the family structure in our country. So I watched the men that have sat underneath another man, which I believe every man needs some accountability man. Everybody, somebody that can pull your coat. She needs one too. And we need somebody that together we can be accountable, where we can be truthful and honest without any type of hiding. And so I saw these men care for their wives in such a way I'd never seen it before. I was like, oh, like they were going out getting the food. I didn't feed my wife. Before she even asked, they were bringing breakfast in. They were making sure she was taken care of. They were wondering. One guy said to the wife, no, today you can't touch the baby. I got the baby. And he told the guys, fellas, I can't be there because I'll be there. I'll be here with my wife taking care of the baby. Like, and was so concerned. And his partners would take in turns holding the baby. When he was going in the pool and having his little goo-goo time with his wife in the pool, his partner came and held the baby, not the girls. And I was like, oh my goodness. And they were loving and cherishing. I was like, Jesus. They were like, I need to speak the vision. I need to make it happen. And so as one found the vision, one man, when he met her, she started caring about his vision so much for the kids in the Bahamas that she grew and started helping and getting sponsors and all this stuff. And they carried the vision together. They love the kids equally. It's amazing to see what they put together. But once again, in our church, it's a cultivation of relationships. There's a lot of marriages in our relationship, in our church. They are healthy marriages because they understand that if we have Christ in us, then love should be coming out. As the man, you should be doing the best that you can to be providing for your wife. As the wife should be making sure that you are building this vision together and we're working together. I see people that love God. They have purpose. They have culture. They're non-religious. And I've never seen it quite like I've seen it in my church. And so it's so awesome because right now, if you're unmarried, you should be preparing. You should be putting in something into this mind to say, teach me, God, how to be the wife I need to be for him. God, prepare me to be the husband I need to be for her. You have to start to ask yourself, what do you have in order? What have you put aside? What do I have that I can say, this is what I bring to the table? Because I see people thinking they're ready for marriage and they have nothing to bring to the table, meaning no vision, you have no consistency, you can't see what the resume is like all over the map because they don't even have any consistency with work or anything else. And what have you accomplished at this point? At my age, okay, I'm not talking about if you're 20. Like I have some of my little 20-year-old kids and my babies that are my spiritual children. They are right on track. They're 21. They're just figuring it out. They're just paying rent right. They're just getting their bank account and their credit together, making sure they're just getting their cars. They just figuring. But now I'm stretching it saying, are you guys listening to Miles Monroe on what it means to kingdom build? Are you listening here for what a man really needs? Are you pouring into that computer? My son was saying, when I get married to my wife, I said, son, I want you to start listening to what a man of God is and what he really does. Because your little brothers are getting it left and right. They have to listen to it right now. Because I refuse to be raising somebody else's husband and he doesn't even know. My little son, let me break it plain down to somebody really quickly. This is going to help somebody. My son, I said, women, we have this thing about once a month where maybe our hormones start acting a little funny. And we might be a little bit extra on those for 1 or 2 days, maybe 3. I said, don't say something like, oh, here we go again. Or you acting crazy. or it's that period time. I said, all we need, my son, is a little tender love and care. I said, just do something nice. If you notice that my attitude is a little bit high strung a little bit, I could be having that thing called a period. So maybe like the next month, my son comes, he says, hey mom, so are you having that thing that you were telling me about? Why was he right? I was like, and it caught me because I want to be aware of my personality where I'm a little extra. So then he went in there and made me some eggs and bacon, because that's the best he could do, and brought me some food in my room and was like, is there anything I could do for you, Mom? I love you. I appreciate you. I was like, that's somebody's husband. But he figured it out. He said, don't say certain things that we shouldn't say. And Kiki was here, and Kiki did something one time, and this is a moment where some guy could have said, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. My son looked at her, and he just hugged her. And I looked at her, I said, if your man says something about you being dumb at that moment, leave him where he is. Because how your brother just treated you, and he hugged you, even though he knew that was a silly thing you just did, he didn't say and call you a name. He just hugged you because he didn't want to say anything. Then she burnt some cookies one day, right? And I said, hey, Laz, go in there, you can get those cookies, because I made some brand new ones, right? And so she's laughing, she's sitting here. And so Lazarus came. I said, hey, Laz, why you didn't want them cookies? And she came in, and he was like, huh? And he started sleeping in the room, huh? And he ran out the room because he knew, he didn't want to tell her, your cookies was burnt and hard. But he wouldn't lie. So he just was like, I'm going out the room. I'm seeing you later. So I was teasing her, saying, I'm showing you something through your little brothers. They love you. They're not trying to beat you down. They're not trying to tell you how, stupid you are. And wow, that was the dumbest thing I ever heard. I'm sorry that you hurt yourself like that. All those dumb, broken comments from a broken person, they're not ready to walk with you and to love you. They have not put enough in their computer to know how to build you up with their words. They haven't learned how to help you enough so you can walk into greatness. How you can, you know what, baby, you overweight, we're going to do this thing together. We got this thing together. We are going to carry one another here because we are in this ship together and we're going in the same direction.
You said something along the lines. Now, this is something that a wise man once told me. Now, people hear this, they may get a little mad at me, but at the end of the day, if you want to throw something at me, that's fine. I got good insurance. They're gonna take care of everything. Y'all ready for this?
Ready.
Marriage is servitude.
Servitude.
Meaning that you're coming into it with the understanding that you're coming in to serve.
Not to be served, but to serve.
To serve. To serve.
Try to get them to see.
Meaning you're not coming in being bossy. Like my dad used to say all the time. He used to say, if you have to tell a woman to submit, she's not going to submit to you because you're having to tell her something that you should have shown her that she should do by your prior action.
Wow. And we're not saying you can't have a moment, but you even catch your moment. Like, I'm tripping. I'm sorry, babe. You know what? Oh, and boundaries, know their boundaries. Like, I had a situation where I told someone my boundaries. Like, I said, hey, I'm not going to be able to have this conversation because I knew I wasn't ready to have the conversation. And they said, oh, you're going to have this conversation. And so when I bit their head off, I was like, and Kiki laughed at me. I was like, but I'll tell you what it was about. Like, it was crazy because I said, the person wanted to talk to me about the lost books of the Bible, how the Bible's incomplete, and the white man did this, that, and the other, and all this stuff. And I was like, look, I'm not coming your direction. You're not coming my direction, so let's not have this conversation. And then, no, you're going to have this conversation with me. And did I say no, Kiki?
Yes, you said no.
I said, I can't. And so I started jumping in, interjecting in, cutting off. I was rude. The man said, because I was chopping him up. I said, well, is Jesus the word? He said, yes, Jesus is the word. I said, well, which word is he? Is he 77 books or is he 66? And I was like, and I was saying, I was breaking. He said, well, everyone that wrote about him, that's him. I said, well, the Muslims wrote about him. So is that Jesus? Who is Jesus then? And he said, well, you're being rude. You cut me off. I said, didn't I tell you I cannot have this conversation with you? He said, you're being rude. You're cutting me off. I said, I am. I'm absolutely being rude. I'm absolutely cutting you off because I told you I cannot have this conversation. And you went right past my boundaries. So I bit your head off. And I'm not saying this right, but I tried to warn you. And Kiki kept saying, Mom, you tried to tell him that you couldn't have the conversation, and he was insistent on having the conversation. So boundaries are so important. So I learned something about myself, and I felt happy about it. Like, look, if he goes past your boundaries, know yourself and your triggers. I should have this will be my exercise, just said nothing. Just let him talk. Don't say nothing. And to do that, I may have to do this, you guys.
Yep.
I might have to just do it because I went there because I was like, I cut him all off. And he said, you're not even letting me explain. And he was going into how the white man's conspiracy and this, that, and no Peter and John weren't names and the white people renamed everybody. I just can't have that conversation, right? So I should have just said, but instead I was just chopping him. And so I learned something about myself that I was so happy because it's not in the fall. I mean, in the get up and being perfect. It's in the fall sometimes. I felt bad about it afterwards because I was not letting him get a word in after a while. And I was just done and I knew I couldn't do it. So what did I learn? I learned at that moment, if somebody's going to push past my boundaries, don't say a word. Practice self-control. Don't say nothing.
That's huge because with boundaries, what you're learning is the aspect of truly understanding the space that they're letting you into. When you understand boundaries, you don't take advantage of that individual when they're opening up intimate parts of who they are. And they're beginning to really show you the things that that they are looking for. So having those boundaries are definitely, you got to establish those things in place. Like for me, when it comes that time again, there's just certain conversations that me and her, we will not have. Like there's certain conversations like, I always tell any woman, I'm like, listen, if we go down there and you ask me, do I look fat in this dress? I said, baby, we getting ready to go pray. Because I said, we gonna pray. Because you got to see yourself that regardless of, you thinking you need to know within yourself that you are already beautiful. Now, I would prefer you not to gain any weight that will so easily beset you from a healthy life. But don't ask me that question. Don't ask me if you look fat in that dress, because I'm just going to say, we getting ready to go pray. That's my way of letting you know, listen, because many men have walked into that trap. My second mom always tells me that if a young lady that you are dating or you're married to asks you, does she look fat in that dress? She said, you compliment her from the neck up. She said, from the neck down, it's death. From the neck up, it's life. So I just pick, you have beautiful eyes, and just leave it at that.
But that's good. I think those kind of conversations, I knew, like I said to myself, I would warn a person like, hey, if I say I can't have the conversation, like, I had to have a difficult conversation this summer. My brother and I never had a talk about, I told you the guy that molested me was my brother's friend when I was 11. I never talked to my brother about it. So for 32 years, we never had a conversation about it. But this one day, my spirit, the Lord said, today's the day. But I knew he was going to overtalk me, and I was okay with that. I knew he was going to dominate the conversation, and I was okay with that. I knew he was going to make excuses, and I was okay with that. I wanted to try to at least get as much as I could out, but I was prepared for those things. I could not, I couldn't have did it another day or a month ago maybe, or 2 months ago, but I had prepared myself enough, and even I had to say a couple difficult things where I felt my little throat choke. You know, I had to say some things that were difficult, and then but afterwards I felt okay, and I said, thank you, Lord, because he felt heard. You know what? After he finished dominating the conversation, you know what I said to him, Brian? I said, thank you for sharing that. You brought up some very valid points. And because I didn't interrupt him, if you think I'm a alpha female, my brothers are alpha males altogether. So you're just not going to really win an argument with my brothers. So I had to submit myself to him, even though some areas I was right, and I thought that some more things he said were kind of foolishness, but I couldn't say that to him. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. I can't say that. I'm setting myself up to be, in the trouble. So you have to know some words you ought not say to somebody, but that I learned that I have to be okay. And sometimes you have to give somebody time, and I want to talk about it right now. So you're going to become in the wrong spirit, and you're going to get the wrong fruit. So wait until you guys both can talk about something and respect the boundaries that I'm just not ready right now to have that conversation. But I will. Give me a day. Give me a couple days. Can I take it to the Lord? Can I prepare myself so I can respect you when we have to have this talk? Like, it would be better. Or we see we're being disrespectful. We say, you know what? I'm saying some things that I'm in my feelings. I'm tired. Or how about when you're tired, Brian, and you're hungry, and the devil caught you at the wrong time, and it's like, you know what? We're not even going to do this right now. Let's just shut this down, because we're both spent, and we love each other. What are we doing? No.
Right. That's so true. Learning those times of learning how to communicate and learning how to communicate effectively, learning, for me, one thing that I hate, and I can say this to any woman that I'm dealing with, one thing that I hate, I'll say that. If you say, hey, we need to talk, don't text it to me. I don't need to read it. Just listen, pull me to the side in the corner and say, listen, sweetheart, we need to talk. Because it happens when I'm at work. Anytime I see an email, anytime I see a message, a text message, we need to talk. I start cringing up because I start overthinking. I'm like, okay, what did I do?
Women, did you hear that? Women, do not text him at work or in church or something else and say, we need to talk. I'm guilty. You guys are all, where my sisters at? How many of you guys are guilty for saying we need to talk? Because the man, now his mind, if he cares, is messing him all up.
He's thinking, what did he do? He's thinking, okay, where did I mess up? Or he's thinking, did her, is she feeling a certain type of way? Because there's been times, with me where I was in relationships or I was in situationships where the young lady was like, we need to talk. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about the worst case scenario. Now, sometimes she wanted to go ahead and tell me, listen, this ain't working. She wanted to tell me, hey, you know what? I think that we'll do better, alone. And then there were times where she said, we need to talk. And it wasn't to bring to my attention that I did something wrong, but it was her way of maybe being excited about something or something frustrated her. So for me, it's like, if you're going to tell me we need to talk, just pick up the phone and say, hey, sweetheart, when you get a moment, I'd like for us to sit down and talk. So in my mind, that allows me to be able to say, okay, I can go into this, because when I read, we need to talk, whether it's my mama, whether it's, somebody I'm considering, whether it's the first lady at a church, when I see the words, we need to talk, I freeze up like a lizard in Iceland, and I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. So.
Well, I agree, because I've been guilty. and a bunch of my sisters are guilty. Somebody asked, what do you say instead? Well, I would say myself, there's a time, and I know sometimes it feels urgent to us, but there's a time and a place for everything. I knew a young lady, and this was really key, you guys. She found out her husband got sick. And truth be told, if you read the curses in Proverbs 3, 4, and 5 about what comes on a person when they're in adultery, one of the curses was talking about their skin, and some things happened. His legs swelled up with water, and they couldn't figure out what, and they thought he was going to die. It was coming up his leg. Come to find out in the process, the wife found out that he was having an affair with some women at the job or something, because she had to get his phone to get his boss and call his boss. And sure enough, the girls were texting. So guess what? He was in the hospital for a month. Do you know, for the whole month, even though the girls tried to come up to there to see him and everything, she didn't mention it to him the whole month. Now, I don't know if I could do that. But this woman, she waited till coast was clear, and she put bygones to be bygones, and she waited for, I'm not saying to wait a whole month, none of those things. What I am saying though is that she understood this man is in the hospital, he's fighting for his life. It's not the time to bring that up. Timing is everything. I know another guy, he has a prison sentence that could happen over something, a very minor thing. And his wife is arguing with him about the ex-girlfriend coming to the door. They have a child together, something. And he was like, I've got all this on my mind right now. Like, why are you letting this woman come between us? Like, it was just moments of timing to think, like, is this me? Am I being insecure? I want us to self-evaluate. I want us to look at myself and say, the more secure I am in the Lord, the more secure I am. And then can I say this, sisters, because I heard Prophet Lowe say this. Men are designed to be fighters. Men are designed to naturally be protectors. We can't come to him and talk to him as if a man talked to him that way. He would be ready to fight that man, because that's how God made him to be. You can't talk down and call him names and put your hand in his face and push him in his face and talk crazy to a man, or put your hands on this man, not think he might not even naturally. And then if he does react, first thing we say is, you're a dog, or you're a beater, or whatever. But what I'm trying to say is, yes, a man should know when to walk away. I talked to my son about when to walk away. I said, if a woman is ever getting violent, you need to walk away. But what I want to say is that women, we can have a tendency with our mouth. We think faster than men. We talk three times before they can get one answer out, which they're slower than us. Sorry. Okay. That three. I mean, I'm not talking about like slow like that. I'm saying like you slower in conversation. Our brain is like, and they say studies that men only talk like 7,000 words in a day, and women talk like 21,000 words. And so he's slower at processing. While he's trying to process and trying to get it out, went on 2 to 3 things, and we're just drilling them, and they just shut down because they compartmentalize stuff, and we got wires all over the place. We are multitaskers by nature. So we have got to stop putting down with our mouth and build up. And we can't say something. I say we learned everything in kindergarten. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. If we can't build him up, if you haven't asked God, am I tripping, God? Is this me or is this him? Is this worth even addressing to him? Go to God first if you are a real woman of God. Figure out the timing. When is a good time? Should I? Now, my old godmother, I love if I got her on this phone. She's 92 years old. She told me a story I want to share with you guys that changed my life forever. She said one time, I guess she talked crazy to her husband. She said for 36 years, they had a wonderful relationship because they agreed to love each other. And so I guess she talked real rude to him one time. And he said something to her that he said, he didn't say anything that day. So about a week or two later, he calls her, he says, put your dress on. You want to go out to eat? She said, yeah. He took her to a really nice restaurant, picked her up after work, and took her to a nice restaurant. They ordered their food, and he looked over at her and said, a couple weeks ago, you said this to me, and you talked this way to me. He said, we love each other. I don't want you to ever, as long as you live, talk to me and disrespect me like that again. And she said he was so kind to her. And so nice in what he said her, and he took her out to eat and got her in her dress. And she said, She said immediately she started crying. He's like, no, don't cry, don't cry. I want you to know we're good, but I want you to know that's not acceptable for what we have. It's not conducive for where we're going. And she said she couldn't stop crying. She had to go to the bathroom. And she said never in their entire marriage did she ever talk down to him like that again, because the man did it in such a classy, loving way. He didn't make her feel stupid or nothing. And she said it burned her in her spirit. So after that, when she told me, I felt like I could feel the same thing. Like, hey, we got to learn to build up with our words, not tear down.
That's key. Now this is for the women, and just hear me because it's coming from a man's perspective. You have the ability and the power to take an average man who has a vision and push him to be an extraordinary man simply by your approach to that man. You have the ability. God has given you the ability, your words, the ability to build that man up to be everything that he said that he was going to be. And the bonus, which is the bonus that comes along with that, is him giving back to you more than he would even give to himself. When a man truly loves a woman, when he truly loves that woman, and he is made a commitment, he will literally lay down his life to make sure that his legacy lives through her.
Wow.
That man's not choosing you because he wants to be with you for that night. He's choosing you because you are the most eligible element of his legacy. You will birth his children. Why would he choose anybody else other than the one who has the elements that will birth his legacy? A man's legacy is these things. Man's legacy is in his words that he speaks, that he keeps, the vision that he has, that he brings to pass, and the offspring that comes out of him and comes through you. That's why he can't just treat, if he's a good man, he can't just treat you on any kind of way, because you are bearing forth his children. And with you bearing forth his children, he's got to provide a safe place for you as a woman to bear those children. Because when a woman, and for the ones that are on here that have had a child, you understand that when you have that child, you're putting your life on the line.
You are.
You're putting your life on the line. And what men have to understand is that with her putting her life on the line to produce out of her your legacy, it is your responsibility that if you produce that child with her, it is your responsibility as a man to step up and be the father that continues on that legacy. See, the thing that men have to understand about women is you are the bridge to the future. You are the bridge to the future, which means that when I connect with you, when we come together and those children are produced, they are the bridge between our generation. They're the bridge between your generation and my generation coming together. And when they come together, it produces the legacy that I have established from my generation, that I've established from your generation. And it's moving up the ladder.
Wow.
Of that family line.
Wow.
One thing that I take, and I'm very, very thankful to my parents. Two of the main things that they taught me, and they are one of the main reasons why that I am in the place that I'm in. Every parent, we have our growing pains with our children. One thing that I can understand about my parents and why I understand why I am the way that I am today, because my parents, they emphasize these elements right here. They said, number one, whatever is in your life, whether it be a person, whether it be a gift, whether it be something that was given to you, don't ever take it for granted.
Amen.
Because in the moment that you take it for granted, it can be taken away from you.
Ooh.
Number two, consider people other than yourself.
Amen.
Consider people other than yourself, because when you consider other people, you never know. That's the moment that they need to know that there is humanity that remains. Number three, continue to keep counting. Never stop counting. And I was like, well, what does that mean when you say never stop counting? They said, what do you mean by never stop counting? Never stop counting your progress.
Wow.
Every step that you take every single day is progress. Even if you fall, pick yourself back up and continue to count the steps. Because each step that you take, if you follow the process that God has laid forth for your life, you will eventually reach what God has for you. And then eventually when you reach what God has for you, you'll see all of the people that admire your steps on the way to the place that God calls you.
Wow. I heard you when you talked about how you went through the things that you've learned after your divorce. And me, even like, I really feel like the woman at the well, I did this thing. I started writing on this book, and you've had 5 husbands, because he says, the one with the issue was like, and the one you with now ain't even your husband, because I got a lot of freedom from the word when it talked about how Samson's wife, it says it was of the Lord, and it didn't work out, but it was of the Lord. They said they did not know it was of the Lord, but it didn't work out. And you get Christians that tell people, if it was God, then it would have been worked out. It would have been fine. That is not what that scripture says. That scripture said, go ahead.
Oh my God, I got to break up folks' theology about when it comes to marriage. Okay, so this is going to be heavy what I'm going to get to.
Go ahead, give it.
Marriage is a choice. A choice that is contingent on the development of where those two people are. Sometimes two people can come together and God can be all in it, but they could be immature. And when they're immature, they end up mismanaging what's been given. So because they end up mismanaging what could have been given, that doesn't mean that God did not say it. That means that you did not get the wisdom to continue on. Habakkuk said, write the vision, make it plain. So when you make it plain, you can run with it. Some people, they get the vision, but what do? They stop running. So to the person that said, well, if it was God, then it would have worked out and it would not have not happened like this. What you have to understand is that God is a God that he is so wise, he is so sovereign, that what he allows you to do is he allows you to make a choice. But the thing is, with the choice that he allows you to make, he gives you the opportunity to invite him in. Some people, they had the right spouse, the person that they were supposed to be with, but the wrong time. The right spouse at the wrong time is still what? The wrong time. Some people had the right time, but not a mature spouse.
Well, I have to tell you what happened to me, because Prophet Passion prophesied over me, and it was so awesome. I don't know if you saw it, but it was fire. First of all, he told me my son's names. He told me my daughter's name, the order of their birth. And he says, I'm standing on the date of March the 24th. And he said, I hear that it's the right date, but it's the wrong time, the wrong person, but it's the right date. He said, what is that? I said, that's my 3 kids. That's their dad. That's his dad, the dad's birthday. I said, oh my goodness. And he was like this, he didn't know, because God was speaking. And he said, you tried 3 times and you failed, but God brought you here to connect you with the right person. I said, oh my goodness, God was all in my business. And so But the 3 kids had to get here. God knew I wasn't fornicating, so the kids had to get here. So he got the kids here, and so whatever reason, we're great friends. I love him and his wife together. I love her. She sent me a message the other day. We have a good relationship. I love her. And it was a choice to love her because it didn't start off that way. And so I want to read this in Judges, the 14th chapter. It says, then his father and his mother said unto him, is there never a woman among the daughters of whom thy brethren, or among all thy people, that thou goest to a wife of unclean, uncircumcised Philistine? And Samson said unto her father, get her for me, for she pleaseth me well. But his father and his mother knew not that this was of the Lord. And it didn't work out. So all of you people who are held in guilt and condemnation, did you hear what he said? He said it could be the right place at the wrong time, the wrong place at the wrong time, right person, wrong time, whatever, or just unsubmitted to God or whatever. Whatever happened, I want you to let it go today. I want you to know it's made you better. I want you to know that you learned that you are much better, you're more equipped, and stop talking about what coulda, shoulda, and woulda. I want you to know that God knew that you would be here. I don't want you to feel shame. I don't want you to feel resentment. If he's moved on, if she's moved on and they're married, I want you to bless them with the love of the Lord and know God's got great for you. And I want you to release those not soul ties, but emotional ties. I want you to fix yourself on loving the Lord with all your heart, soul, and strength, and know that God does not want you to be alone and he wants to bless you too. And I want you to prepare yourself and prepare your mind with the things we're talking about and get before the Lord so that you can be healthy, so you can be whole, so you're not bringing negativity and you're not bringing all these preconceived notions and what I don't want and talking more about what you don't want than what you do want. I want you to walk in the fullness of the Lord so that you can receive what God has for you. But it starts with you loving God first.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this story about how mine came together and how. And I don't mind saying this. I'm going to tell you how I messed it up. I ain't going to throw it on her. She had her thing she had to deal with. But Brian, I'm going to say my middle name, Benjamin Thomas, messed it up. So I remember one of my prophetic friends, he prophesied to me. It was September, I believe it was September the 3rd, 2012. He told me about the woman that I would marry. He told me about her having a child. He told me about what would happen by age 35. I got another prophecy. It's in July of 2014 that she was coming. I ended up meeting her on my mom's birthday, November the 5th, 2014. When I tell you that everything lined up. And then I ended up moving here and we were kind of getting things together and things began to get rocky. And God was allowing things to get rocky because he was saying, and he told me this after everything blew up. He said, 2016 was not the year you were supposed to get married. You were supposed to wait because 2017 was a year that you would have been prepared because I had to process some stuff in you. So, but what ended up happening is that what happens a lot of times is that marriage is like this. I'm going to give you the equivalent of someone that is working out for the very first time. Marriage is like that exercise program for the individual that's working out for the very first time. If you haven't trained up to that particular point, you can end up tearing and pulling muscles that you didn't know you had. And what happened with me was I wasn't exercising enough for the regimen that came along with that journey. And because I wasn't exercising enough for the regimen that came with that journey, what ended up happening was it reopened areas and wounds in me that were meant to be healed before I stepped into it. See, the way that God broke it down to me, he said 2016 was supposed to be a year that you took a step back, you really learned about her, and you begin to establish some of the areas of your life where you need to be healed. 2017, 2018 was the time frame that you would make a choice to get married, and I would bless it because you would be in the right position. You would mentally be prepared. But because you stepped out and got married on this time frame early, what ends up happening is that, and this is what happens a lot of times with marriage,
And you got to be very, very mindful of the things I'm getting ready to say. What happens when you get married, things that you didn't deal with begin to expose themselves. If you got some issues that you haven't dealt with, what does marriage do? Marriage does not cover them. Marriage exposes them. Marriage exposes areas about you that has not been healed, or it exposes areas of you that have grown. So if you've grown in the area, when you get married, it's going to extend and become better. But if you're dealing with issues and you take them into marriage and you don't deal with them, what ends up happening is that, I'm getting ready to mess somebody up. What ends up happening is the Bible says the two shall become one. So when the two shall become one, what ends up happening is that your spirit and her spirit, they come together, which is a good thing. But when your spirit and her spirit come together, what didn't come? What didn't change? What didn't follow? The issues. The issues are still hanging out there. The knives, the different things that you dealt with, they're still hanging out there. And what ends up happening is that as you two are coming together, the issues are holding on to pieces of you. So now you're not whole. So what would be originated for 70, what would be originated for 100% of you, now only 60% of you is going to connect it. So the other 40%, which would be the better version of you at 100%, is left waiting for a home. But because it's sitting there waiting and your spirit is connected with somebody else, now what's ended up happening is now your focus is on how do I help the other person. But then these areas of your life are left desolate, and then those areas, they start calling and saying, okay, we were so used to you being right here, and now you're not here anymore, so we're going to come over here and bother you real quick, because we're tired of sitting over here waiting on you to acknowledge us.
Wow.
This is what happens in a lot of relationships and a lot of marriages. What happens a lot of times is that people come together, they get married, we're excited. It's a day. She put on her wedding dress. He put on his tux. We had all these wonderful people here, and issues are sitting over there in the theater of the future, and they're saying, "Oh, we see how this movie's gonna be. Eventually, you're gonna end up coming back over here because we know we're comfortable. We know your script. We see the thing about it is your issues. They know your script, because they've been with you for an extended period of time. They've studied you. They understand you. They see you for who you really are. Wow. That's why intimacy is very, very important. Because when there is intimacy, what it does to those issues, it disables the validity of those issues to cause you to run from them.
Wow. This is really amazing. And healing is so important, especially when you're already in it and you start dealing with issues. And maybe next week we can come back and talk about like process and healing when you're in a marriage, in a relationship, and because things are going to continue to come up your whole life, and then process before marriage, what you can do to really just kind of make sure that you are in a good state, and then the maintenance part. So maybe we could do that, because this is so healthy and this is so awesome. How would you guys like us to come back and do something else on this in a week or so, you guys? Because I really am loving this talk. He's telling us exactly. He started something. He did it in class on Wednesday. Yes. And matter of fact, we're talking about doing something just for the men. The women can listen, but we really aren't giving a lot of input, but we were able to listen because the men have to be able to come together in a healthy form and talk. And when they get with other healthy men, they can become healthy men for the women that they love, where it becomes beautiful to be a man that loves a woman again. Society has tried to make it where it's not popular, but we want to bring love back as popular, and make it so attractive. Everything is about cheating and sex and all this stuff. And it's like, that's not what this is about. This is about love, respect, purpose, walking in purpose, carrying out our goals, sticking with one another through the thick and those thin times that we have to go through for purpose, and standing by one another's side and being dependable and reliable and trustworthy, and putting a band-aid or doing a surgery if you had to on the person. You see these survivor movies and it's just two of them and they do whatever they got to do. It's like that Apocalypto. His wife was down in that hole. He came back for her. And she did her part and he did his part. We'll do our part together so that we can win and we can give God all the glory and honor, and he will be helping us, remembering it's not about just you guys, it's about him. He's for you, and when he's for you, he's going to put you together. He wants you to be happy. Somebody has to understand God wants you happy. He wants you whole. He wants you to have joy. He does not want you spend. I hear some people, I've been working on my husband for 25 years and he's out cheating for the 150th time. That is not God, and God is not calling you to stay in that. I'm sorry. I will say it and I said it again. But what the Bible says, death do us part, you are misunderstanding. God does not want you stuck in that foolishness where somebody is cheating on you and they've cheated. I've watched it suck the life out of people before. And they still don't have enough common sense to know that this is about the 50th time you need to go. And they're stuck for whatever reason.
It's when you're looking at something like that, it is no longer about love. It is now about a person making a selfish act to continue in something that is affecting the other person.
Well,
that's,
and you're real. So right about that, Brian. And what we want to do is, we've made purpose with our pain. A lot of people, I laugh about by some of my divorce issues and things that have happened and how God brought me through. But those were real times, you guys. It was real. It really was a real source of pain at one time. But God did some awesome things there, and I learned so much. And my brother has learned so much. And I watched him last week in our class help a man learn how to stay with his marriage and how to fix his love on his wife. And if he had never went through a failed situation, he couldn't tell somebody how to win. So, we want you to win, and we want you to win big, and we want you to enjoy the process of growing in the Lord. And so that's why we're here. And if you're already in a good marriage, and please continue to share your goodness, because we need your stories. I think I told the story on Wednesday about the lady that she said they've been married like 30 years now, but she said she pulled the trigger on her husband twice and it didn't shoot. And she's like, thank God, because they're still married like 25 years later. But she said she was wilding out. Somebody was drinking. I don't know what happened, but they got it together. So the goal is, if you're married, get it together. Let's stop fussing and fighting. Let's fight the real enemy. Let's have love, peace. Love covers. Learn what that looks like. Get back on this ship. Get focused. Get this vision going. Get these jobs and purpose. We're not going around the rat race in the circles like Brian said, but getting in purpose, on purpose, intentionally loving one another, intentionally caring about one another, intentionally checking on one another, intentionally learning of them and asking and praying and asking God about them, and keeping God as the center of our life. So I hope that this is wonderful for you. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Brian, before I close out in prayer?
I'm going to say this because this came to me for those that are single and are looking to one day. This was dropped to me. Your season of singleness is the necessary surgery that's needed for you to be healthy in your season of relationship and marriage. It's the surgery. It's the place that cleans up all of the areas that would prevent you from being fulfilled in the area of relationship and marriage. This season of singleness, it's your surgery. You're identifying the issues, you're identifying the pains, you're identifying the triggers, you're identifying the areas of your life that will prevent you from presenting the best person possible for the person that God has for you. And sometimes the surgery is painful. Sometimes we go through these things because it reveals to us areas that we did not know were hurting. One thing that I realized in my marriage that I carried a level of rejection. And because I carried a level of rejection, anytime that my wife at the time was trying to get me to really listen to her, I took it as a sign of, well, you don't want me. I would literally close down. But I realized at that particular moment, my wife did not want me to close down. At that particular point in time, she wanted me to put my arms around her and love on her, because me putting my arms around her and loving on her would have been the first time that she would have been able to really look at the aspect of a man actually staying in her life. Her father died when she was 7, 8 years old. So her definition of a man had always been abandon me and leave. And because it had been abandon me and leave, when a good man did come, what did she do? She pushed him away, because she had expected in the back of her mind that he was going to do the same thing. So every time that I reacted and I had put my arms around her, it reminded me, it reminded her of those times that she wanted that love from her dad, but her dad couldn't love her because her dad was treating her a certain type of way. So she felt as though, because I'm being treated this way by my father, I expect every man. So she built up a defense mechanism. Many, you build up, treat people a certain type of way because it's a defense mechanism. So now in your season of singleness, it's surgery. And with a surgery, there is a diagnosis. Some of us are single because we need to diagnose the issues that we haven't dealt with. Some of us were single because we need a new diet of thoughts that tell us otherwise of what we expected. Some of us are single because God is protecting our legacy from being polluted and perverted.
Yeah. And some of us are just single because it was your season to be single, and you're going to be married. And then you're going to be like, whew, thank God for that season when I was single. Like,
yes,
it's good being single sometimes. You're like, yay, you know, all that peace, because you know, it changes, life changes, and expect the change. That was so good. That was just wonderful, because we have to really be able to talk about the healing process, and so that we can be whole. And wholeness is a process. We walk that out, and God's going to continue working on this till He comes back. I want you guys to, if you want to give what you want to give to the Lord, I think it's on there, lifelinetnt.org, or you can. So I think it's on there for my Facebook people. Please share, tag, and invite. We'd love, if you need some questions answered, send us a. He is gathering and growing. We're all growing and we're all learning better ways. So like, teach us to do it better. I mean, just show a better way. Give a better example, a more excellent way. Give us wisdom, Holy Spirit, so we can do it right. Amen. No more of this going around in a circle for 40 years. Now it's time for us to stop the foolishness. But my son did something today. I said, now, son, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. And you got to, so you have to know what your triggers are and stop falling into the same trap. Stop falling into the same offense. Stop falling into the same unforgiveness. Stop being, whoa, no, woe is me. And it's your daddy. It's not really him. You know, we got to start, we have to start, call a spirit and get some deliverance and wholeness, and let God really make us right for what He has for us, and get back on track for purpose. Get on track for purpose. That's when you're in your best you, is when you're in purpose. So grab what you want to give to God. I'm going to pray right now. Father, I thank You for each and every person on YouTube, on Facebook, if you're watching us now or at a later time. Thank You for my brother, Minister Brian Thomas, all of the things that You've turned his pain into purpose, Father, that he's gained wisdom and he's knowledge and understanding, and he's sharing it with people. And thank You for the things that You brought me through, Father. There is no shame, and for any of us on this line, I bind up the spirit of guilt and condemnation and shame and resentment or unforgiveness, anything that could be plaguing anybody that is not of You. We bind You and we render You powerless. Father, we thank You for touching them today. May healing go forth. May they sleep well. May they know that You have purpose. Whatever didn't work out, we divorce it. Some of you need to divorce that old situation. You need to divorce it and pull off that old ring. You need to divorce that spiritual spouse and get out of that being stuck in that familiar spirit that you're chasing the same type of person because you're unhealthy. Lord, we lose healthy relationship. We lose wholeness. We lose thank You for forgiveness. We thank You for peace. Father, we thank You that we are rebuking fears and doubts and worries, and we receive what You did for us. You gave us, You died that we would have life and life more abundantly. So I thank You for the marriages. I thank You for the unity. I thank You for their calling, that we would bring You glory in all we do. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Yes and amen. God bless you guys.
Yes, ma'am. You let me know when you wanna. You let me know when you want to do it again, and
yeah,
I'll definitely I'll definitely make it happen.
Thank you. I was so mad. I mean, we did this on the fly today, you guys. I sent him a text and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, okay, thanks. He's like, what time? So here we are. So we didn't prep, we didn't pray. We just thought we'd just talk to you guys about some real stuff because he did such a great job in our Wednesday class. And he's always a silent listener on our Wednesday class anyway. He's like, he's on like every Wednesday in our class.
Now you see my face twice here, so you may see that a little bit more often now.
Oh, we hope so. We hope so. Because we need your opinion. Like, I hope sometime you come off the dark and get in the conversation. You know, we need you.
I got you.
Especially there's been more men on our line. And I love when the men speak up. We really need that. So, you know, we need the men to have a platform where they can be honest like last week and talk. And as women, we need to be sparked up and need to hear what you guys are thinking sometimes, you know,
Right.
so we can love you better.
Right.
Okay, brother.
Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate
All right.
you. Okay, you guys. Love you guys.
All right.
All right.
Love you too.
Bye-bye.
All right.